On the southern edge of Long Island, New York, lies a remote stretch of coastline. It's a barrier island defined by miles of dense brush, golden sand, and crashing waves. In December 2010, Suffolk County Police were combing through these exact dunes. They were conducting a routine search for a single missing woman who had recently disappeared in the area. But as officers expanded their grid, they didn't find her. Instead, hidden deep within the brush along the Ocean Parkway, they uncovered the remains of another victim, then another, and another. The search for one person ended, replaced by the realization that these dunes had served as a graveyard for years. For residents across New York, the isolation of the beach now carried a terrifying weight. As investigators worked to identify the remains, a tragic pattern emerged. Many of the victims had worked as escorts, vanishing after arranging meetings with unknown clients. For the families of these women, the discovery provided a grim end to years of uncertainty. They had spent a decade pleading for leads that the police were only now beginning to uncover. What followed was a long period of investigative silence. Despite thousands of tips and intense public scrutiny, the trail grew cold, and no major breakthroughs occurred. Years stretched into a decade. The suspect left no physical trace behind, remaining an invisible figure that traditional police work failed to identify. 13 years after the first bodies were found, a new multi-agency task force stepped in to reopen the cold case files. Instead of looking for a shadow on the beach, detectives mapped a massive network of witness statements, burner phones, and victim locations. They cross-referenced anonymous cell phone pings with 2010 vehicle databases, searching for the exact moment coordinates overlapped. Simultaneously, the task force applied forensic testing to hair fragments found at the scene, extracting DNA using technology unavailable during the initial searches. The combination of historical digital footprints and modern lab work tightened around a single center point. The invisible killer finally had a shape. That converging data pointed directly to a Manhattan-based architect named Rex Heuermann. Heuermann lived an ordinary life. He commuted to the city, ran his own firm, and lived in a quiet neighborhood just a short drive from Gilgo Beach. But the task force had built an airtight timeline. They matched his physical description from witnesses, linked his location data to the killer's phones, and tied his DNA directly to the victims. By the summer of 2023, the task force determined the evidence was strong enough. They had the hard data required to move in. The man accused of terrorizing Long Island relied on a mundane routine to evade suspicion. He stayed in his community, assuming the passage of time would act as a shield, until the data caught up to him. In July 2023, law enforcement officers arrested Rex Heuermann, bringing a suspect into custody 13 years after the investigation began. News of the arrest brought immediate attention to his home. Reporters and onlookers swarmed the suburban street, trying to reconcile the professional architect with the charges being filed. For the families, the arrest brought a heavy, complex wave of emotion. They finally saw a suspect in a courtroom, though the wait had lasted over a decade. The arrest in the Gilgo Beach case marks a shift in how cold cases are handled. Evidence that was once unreadable can now be matched to a specific identity, closing gaps that had existed since the bodies were first found. Even with a suspect behind bars, the yellow police tape remains up. The investigation is far from over. Authorities are actively searching old records to determine if the suspect is connected to other unsolved missing persons cases across the region. Tragically, remains discovered along that lonely stretch of highway have yet to be identified. A major step toward justice has been taken, but other secrets may still be buried beneath the Long Island sand. Subscribe to our channel as we follow the court proceedings and search for the final truth.